Hey everyone, this is me from the future. There's going to be a couple of word walls during this whole thing because, unfortunately, a lot of ideas are open to criticism. A lot of ideas, ideals, religions are open to criticism. But something I've noticed in my time on the internet is that there are two in particular that if you start asking questions about in any way or have any kind of disagreement with, people will throw the word phobe around to basically discount your opinion. That's just something the internet likes to do instead of actually talk about it. I've noticed that there's a lot of people who have really tried to skew the context anytime these discussion points come out, especially with anything relating to Islam and anything at all relating to LGBTQ issues. And I think a big reason for that is because there has been a lot of anger around those issues, especially used to promote violence and things like that following 9/11 and other incidents like that against Islam, and of course throughout the country's history in the United States with things like LGBTQ stuff. But it's also really disingenuous because it's created a culture where you can't ask any questions or say anything about it, and I find that to be really ridiculous and silly. I don't know of many other topics that are just off limits like that. I even see people like renowned atheist, logic-based author Sam Harris get called an Islamophobe for having problems with the Islamic religion, but everybody basically gets around a circle jerk for him when he asks questions about Christianity or says there's things he doesn't like about the Bible. So because of that, I've included a bunch of word walls in here. If you want to skip past them because you know my heart and you think, well, I don't really need to read all the context for this, that's fine, but I do ask you to do your own research into things like this, because there are a lot of countries and different areas in the world that have used religion, just like the Catholic Church did in the past as well in Europe, to justify a lot of bad things. They've used a lot of passages to justify bad things. They've taken things out of context or promoted the context that they want to use for power, especially in different regions like the Middle East, where the male patriarchy is 100% a real thing and not at all in any way a meme. It is just straight up scary real. There are a lot of places that have used a lot of beliefs to further power dynamics that are unhealthy for humans and really, really hurt people. But it's not okay to talk about those things or ask questions about them because it means you're a hateful bigot. So I just wanted to mention kind of the context around this. Let's hop back into it, I guess. My thing with that kind of stuff is that you have that all the time, and you do have that even now where, like, Jill and I were talking about this the other day, and I know it's like a hot button topic for people for some reason. The best example I can think of is Islam, where if you come to America and do you want to see about buying paintings and stuff real quick? If you come to America and you're Islamic and your thing is just, I like Allah, I'm going to pray, my times a day, I'm going to face Mecca, I'm going to do this stuff, more power to you. You know what I mean? I'm being serious. Practice your religion. That's cool. I'm glad that you're happy with it, and I hope that you are fulfilled and getting out of it, what you believe in. But if you are going somewhere and you are basically dragging ideals with you that are bad. So, like, for example, like we need to impregnate 12-year-old women because it's time for them to get married.
Right.
Sorry. That's incompatible with the culture here. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. I don't care if that comes off to you as unaccepting. Because guess what? I don't come to your country and tell you how to live.
Right.
I just don't. Now, do I think it's fucking dumb? Like, do I think it's dumb as hell that there are countries out there where it's like 12-year-olds are getting married or pregnant, which happens? Mm-hmm. Do I think it's dumb that there's countries where, like, women can't drive? Yeah. I think it's dumb. And I think any belief system that supports that is dumb.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're hardcore Jews, hardcore Christians, or hardcore atheists or Muslim or whatever. It's dumb to me. But I'm not going to go to your country and force you to change it. I think you should get there on your own and move on to the 21st century where people have rights.
Right.
And, like, we use inventions and, have mass production and stuff like that. I think you should, like, get with the freaking times. But I'm not going to force you to change your ways, nor am I going to come to your country and impose my old laws on you. Mm-hmm. So when people do that here, when people move here and they're like, Well, my 12-year-old shouldn't have to go to public school. This is a real thing. Because my 12-year-old in our country would have gotten married at this age.
Right.
Too bad.
This is not that country.
Fuck off. That's my genuine answer to that. Go back there then. And not like, go back there because you're different. I mean, go back there if you are not going to try and make ways of life compatible. The only way this country works, or really any country works, is you either are all on board with the one set of laws, or you have a country and practice of tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have one of those two, I'm sorry, this system doesn't work anymore. So if you're going to come in and try and make the system not work, or make to fit you specifically only, no. You don't belong then. And it doesn't matter what country it is. It's the same if I go to Japan. I would kill that official so we can get rid of our stupid notoriety.
Okay.
It's the same way if I go to Japan. I can't just go to Japan, shit all over their spiritual practices, tell them, like, well, in America we do it this way, and, like, have them change it. That's... You might want to steal from the body. He has money. Sorry, I'm not trying to...
Trying to like,
you here. It's full sync.
Drive here.
Oh, I thought he had more money than that. I'm full syncing you.
Got it.
You don't play the way I say, you're not playing right.
you.
I'll resync gamer score. No, I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I'm sure some people will be like, that's racist. Like, you're against this or that. It's like, no, I'm only against if you specifically don't want to be part of the bigger picture.
Right.
Like, if you just want to be your own thing only and put that off on everyone else, then no. Just the same way I'm not going to make you be a Christian, or I'm not going to make you act white, whatever that means, or I'm not going to make you do this or that. I'm just not. That's not my place. But if we don't have that tolerance and we don't have that common ideology of, like, coming together to create an area where different cultures exist together, it doesn't work and you shouldn't be here.
Right.
Genuinely.
Well, I think a good example of this is in Iran, it is legal to kill you if you are gay.
Is it actually?
I think so. I actually think it is. And if it is not legal, then no one prosecutes you. So it's basically legal anyways.
That does happen pretty much. Oh, all over the Middle East.
So, I guess my good example is, here in America, you can be gay.
Yeah.
But if you were to go to Iran and hop into Tehran, or you pronounce it, and you were to go and, like, make out with your gay lover, you would probably be killed.
Yeah.
So, it's not like you're going to go there and be like, I'm going to do it anyways because it's legal in America. Well, you're not in America.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about here?
Mobilize your followers!
Yeah. Now, should it be legal for that to happen in... Do we have to chase on all three of these people? Should that be legal for that to happen in Iran? No. But we're not in America. Like, we're not sitting around here, like, deciding the laws of Iran.
No.
Like, Iranians decide the laws of Iran.
And unfortunately, a lot of people around the world have been brainwashed to not care.
Yeah.
And to see human rights abuses against gay people or black people or whatever as okay. This is also why I find it very amusing when people only point to America on this stuff. If I went and killed a gay person right now because they're gay, this is a hate crime. I will be prosecuted more than a normal murder.
Right.
You know that, right? Like,
yeah, you'd be put in prison for probably like 30 years.
It's like hate crimes are a bigger prosecution here. Just go with your sword. Than murder.
Right.
Also, I'm not trying to be rude. You told me you want me to play the group parts. Do you want me to play this, or are you good?
I'm fine.
Okay. You know, like that's kind of my issue with it. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Is when you like start sanctioning these abuses and stuff, and then acting like it's worse elsewhere. Like, I get to some extent you could say like, well, Americans should be worried about America, but like, our entire world is global now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just Americans should be worried about America. Like, I feel like there should be some level of concern and care from other parts of the world about other parts of the world.
There should be.
And if
especially because people can travel freely now.
Well, and if human rights are being violated, I don't care where it is. Like, if in Serbia they, like, murdered a gay man for being gay, or tomorrow, like, the Queen of England herself, like, put down, like, a minority in front of the country to be like, ew, gross minority, or some shit like that, you know, like something racist, well, then that should be condemned, and that country should be mocked for their stupidity.
I think so.
Because it doesn't matter if it's not your country, they're still abusing human rights and hurting people. Like, doesn't that matter? Because it matters to me.
Right.
And that's why, like, when people like defend Islam and they're like, well, if you go after, like, the way the Quran talks about women, and you're going after that in the context of, like, Saudi Arabia, well, then you're being anti-Muslim. No, I'm being anti-first century Muslim. You know what I mean? Like, I'm being anti 2,000-year-old version of this religion. I'm not against the religion. I really couldn't care less. Like, you can believe in, like, a freaking, you know, like, the Cookie Monster is God. I don't care. If you're not hurting anybody, it just doesn't matter to me. But when you cross that line and your text is being used to hurt people and justify state-sanctioned abuses, even when it's not legal, it's used to allow these human rights violations where people die or are maimed, like when young women are born and sometimes they have parts of their crotch removed. Like, that still happens in countries and is considered fine.
Right.
That kind of stuff, like maiming of children. I don't care if it's your religion or not, that's wrong. And if it was a Christian doing it or a Buddhist doing it, let's just kill these guys. It doesn't matter who it is doing it, this is wrong. And so when you're just, like, hiding behind your book, like, oh, well, you can't attack this thing because that means you hate everyone who believes in this religion. No. Why are there, like, thousands of people who believe in that religion who live here and don't maim their children?
Right.
Or, like, why are there thousands of people who are Jewish who don't support every move Israel makes? People are more complicated than just, like, a skin color or a religion. Like, look at Christianity. How many sects of Christianity and different,
like, way too many
groups are there that have different ideas? And there are some that are sadly violent. Like, literally the Westboro Baptist Church type area, in my opinion,
is
that
perfect.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like doing way more harm than good, like spreading hate and condoning violence, I believe, with their rhetoric and stuff like that. And so I wouldn't support that either. Like, to me, it doesn't matter what the label is on your thing. If you're hurting people, you're hurting people.
Right.
And if someone was like, well, Leviticus says I can burn witches, so I killed this woman. To me, it's like, I don't care if Leviticus said you could burn witches. That's not compatible with the modern world. And you can get on board with the modern world or get out.
Right.
You know, like, that's just the way it is.
Okay.
And I think that all of these texts, not to be like Captain Anti-Religion here, but I do think that all of these texts have, like, such a self-righteous clause in them of, like, if the world's against you, it means you're right. And that's not really what was meant by that. What was meant by that is, if you're practicing this religion and being faithful to your God and living a life of peace, which, despite the stuff against infidels and despite the Old Testament, is what Islam is supposed to be now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in times of war, it was warring, but it's not a time of war, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're not following those tenets of your religion, and you're just like, well, I'm following the extremes that are mentioned during extreme times, so therefore I'll be rewarded, and, like, if the government's against me, that means my God is happy. It's like, I think that's a really self-righteous way to think of things, where you can never be wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, all of these books have plenty of examples of people who thought they were in the right, who God told were wrong. Both Allah and Yahweh.
Right.
You know, and so it's like, when you've justified it in your head, like, the book says I can never be wrong, it's like, you're missing the point. Because, like, any God that would want you to maim your kids, or any God that would want you to act with violence, not out of self-defense and for no reason, in the 21st century just to be a bloodletter, that's not a good God.
No,
like,
not
that's
at all.
Douchebag.
Right.
And so that's kind of one of my things, too, where it's like, why do you even want to believe this? And it doesn't work in our society at all. It just doesn't.
Right. Well, and even all the examples in the Old Testament, even all the Old Testament examples where God told people like the Israelites to go kill a certain group of people, even those had like actual justifications to them. So like it wasn't just like, hey, why don't you go like rape all these people? Ha ha! You know.
Right.
It was like,
or like go cut off your kid's dick.
Right. It was. I feel like you're making fun of circumcision with that.
No, I'm not. I'm saying like circumcision actually at the time, a big part of it was cleanliness.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and there were also diseases and other issues.
Right.
Did you learn all those lies from your Borgia masters?
I speak the truth. It is you who tell the people lies.
Give me the code sheet.
All I will give you is death. Hey, you are finished!
Give me the Da Vinci Code. 2. Oh yeah, let's
loot his
loot
body.
that guy. I was gonna say let's defile that guy, but I was thinking loot, and then I was like, wait a second.
Oh, why don't I just do? Wait, can I not pick up his body?
You can if you press B. I thought
It only has gentle push.
Oh,
Let's figure out how to get that. It looks like I can dive.
Yes. I don't know where I was going. What were we talking about?
You were saying how much you hate all minorities
That's what
and
I said.
all of the religions except for you.
Exactly. No, I was making fun of the idea of cutting off a woman's pleasure organs.
Yeah.
Which is a thing.
Yep.
Which not everybody does, but the extreme people do in certain areas of the world. That's what I was making fun of. Like, that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, I know there's a lot of, like, atheists who try and be, like, hardcore edgy. Like, well, in Leviticus 12, your God said, like, haha, I like pussy. So, therefore, like, your God now is a dick. Like, they try to be, like, bring up the most random examples. Or, like, well, Joshua blew his horn one time too many, and then God was like, you suck. So, like, therefore, your religion's bad. Like, it's just, like, reaching hardcore. I'm not about that kind of stuff. Like, the random-ass examples where it's like, well, what about Abraham and Isaac? It's like, yeah, like a test of faith he was never going to make him do. What a dick.
Right.
Like, I don't like that story. But, like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
For anyone who doesn't know, Abraham and Isaac, like, Abraham waited forever to have a kid. He finally has a kid when he's, like, an old man. God had promised him a kid. And then God's like, now kill the kid. Mm-hmm. And Abraham was like, what? Why would I kill a child? And he was like...
Well, especially after God promised that he would have many descendants from his kid.
Yeah, and so he was like, why would you even ask me to do that? That doesn't seem like a righteous thing to ask of, like, someone who follows you. And God was like, well, do you believe in me or not?
Yeah.
And so Abraham was like, okay. And he goes, and he takes the kid to the mountain, and, like, he draws his sword, and then God sends an angel to be like... Okay, like, don't kill your kid, actually. We're just seeing if you'll actually follow God.
Yeah, and then he provided a lamb.
Now, I don't like that story that much, because I do think it's very hard to justify with a loving God in terms of, like, people bring it up to, like, point out, like, cruelty and stuff, and I think a lot of people read further into it than was meant to.
Yeah.
Because I think it was always just a test of faith. I don't think there was any version of that where God was actually going to make this guy kill his kid.
No.
In that story. But I also understand why people don't like that story, because it does come off... By the way, you want to read the scroll real quick? It does come off like, why would God even ask that? But my issue is that with all of these random people trying to be edgy, they all bring up these examples. The door is open. What lies inside has altered my perception and left me shaken. The very pillars of my beliefs toppled. Every event is like a link in a chain, forged by something long dead. Or does it still live? I calm myself and venture into the night. The ghosts howl inside my head, calling me forward. I have never seen architecture built to such a grand scale, lit by phantom radiance.
Phantom menace.
Something lies at the center of the chamber, something
Chamber
powerful
secrets.
that I cannot reach. Surely gods must have a hand in its design, but which gods? A pedestal has emerged from the ground. I consider fleeing this madness, but I know it will pull me back. I rest my palm on it, and I am blinded, filled by prophecy. I see Roman flames, and I am driven to action.
So I can zoom?
That's very clearly an Isu structure.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it.
So is there can we look at scroll 5? Because I think we did it out of order. What I was going to say, though, is I'm not about, like, the pick random obscure examples and then, you know, get angry about them and stuff. But I do think that there's, I do think that there's, like, a lot to reconcile with these beliefs. And I think that when they start encroaching on everybody's rights, that's where I have a problem on it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people should leave that at the door if they're going to go to another country.
Right.
No matter what country it is. I like Brivtiv's armor.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen this before, actually. That's kind of cool. So that's one.
Is there a picture with everyone?
No, this one does not have one. Cassius, okay. He's one of the Great Triumvirate. Will this one have a picture? No, this one does not have a picture either. So basically, and then...
We read 4.
Yeah. What about 4 continued? This one has a picture.
Huh. It's another Isu structure, clearly.
Yeah, and then this one has a picture, too.
Is that the dagger he used to kill Caesar? Let's read the thing.
I don't know.
We meet in the cavern again, but I have hidden my discovery from my brothers. I relay my plans. Some details are my own, but others driven by my visions. My contributions are practical. We will attack as a group to prevent escape and ensure each of us is committed to this task. We will lure him to the Senate, which is Julius Caesar, where none of his allies may enter. The visions have shown me that we must strike on this day of Mars, that today my resolve will be tested, and that I must not falter. I am not a violent man, but I ready my family's heirloom dagger. I pull my toga up into a cowl and leave for the celebration. Can I see the dagger again?
Yeah.
That dagger looks like a... I mean, it could just be a dagger.
It's like a... This is actually a family heirloom dagger.
Yeah, but, like, look at the design on it. It also could have something to do with Isu.
Yeah, like, do you think it's like a dagger of Isu or something?
I don't know, because look at the blade and look at how it runs straight down, almost like an artifact.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see... This is Brutus's dagger, right?
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if Brutus's dagger... So what caused his visions? Could you go back?
You want to, like, read all of them?
No. I just want you to skim them.
Same cavern has haunted my dreams. I have spent countless nights exploring my sleep. Okay. It is here that we'll hold the council. Here we'll plot the downfall of our enemy, our friend, our dictator, Perpetuo. 40 of us each ascended, each a liberatore. Okay. So basically Cassius asked him to kill Caesar. The council's ended, Caesar moves away from the Senate, so basically Caesar's become more of a dictator and
was
not a
Julius
senator.
Caesar banging Cleopatra before Antony was? Because Mark Antony goes on to just like pipes in her over and over again.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Caesar and Cleopatra were like together first.
Okay, got it.
Placing his trust in foreign rulers, adopting the ego and pomp of an Egyptian whore.
Mm-hmm.
He refuses to rise when he addresses us and scoffs at our concern. Okay, so basically he's saying, like, Caesar has moved away from the Roman Republic, and we need to end him. Mm-hmm. I continue to explore the cavern. I found traces of whatever pulled me towards this place. Whispers, lights, flickering through the cracks in the earth, a doorway that is also a puzzle. So I think he found an Isu temple.
And this is where, like... something changed his beliefs. There was like a pillar that came up out of the ground and like spoke to him and showed him images.
Yeah.
And then that's what caused him to kill, like to commit to killing Caesar.
So basically the Isu told him to kill Caesar.
Yeah. When we leave this area, let's switch back to our normal outfit, like normal assassin outfit, so that when we put on the armor of Brutus, it actually shows it.
Okay.
Because I think if you leave on the Draken armor, it might, wait, 5 out of 6 scrolls.
So we're missing one. One thing that I always found kind of funny was Brutus and Cassius and all them.
Mm-hmm.
They... Whoa, what is this?
Good guy achievement.
Plumber? Okay. Basically, they murdered Julius Caesar to prevent him from becoming a dictator, because they thought he was moving away from the Senate. Now, there is historical evidence to say he was.
Well, yeah, he had mental instability.
Yeah. But what I find ironic is in the process of murdering Julius Caesar to prevent a dictator, you basically made way so the Roman Empire would be created, and then a dictator would just come in anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, okay, we gotta kill this guy to prevent a dictator, but then a dictator's gonna come in anyways.
Well, the problem was the triumvirate was supposed to be on level with the Senate, so it was supposed to prevent it from happening again. It was supposed to be 3 kings, basically, and then a Senate. The problem is, the kings killed each other. And then it ended up with 1 king again, didn't it? Didn't it end up with Octavian?
Right. Yeah. You're talking about the second triumvirate.
Yeah.
Because the first triumvirate was Caesar...
Yeah, I'm talking about the second one.
Yeah.
Because the first
Pompey and whatever the third guy's name was.
Well, because the first one just ended up becoming Caesar.
Yeah.
Essentially. But then the,
we should just go here.
Where's that?
Just
viewpoint?
Yeah.
Oh, just
well, actually, here's the next area.
Well, let's do the viewpoint.
Well, because I'm wondering, I don't see another thing. I don't see another thing unless it's down here.
Yeah. I do see a couple things we should hit on the way there real quick. Just because they're left on the map. Like, where are we? Here?
Yeah. So we'd go all the way down.
So there was this. There's a couple of those right in the middle of the map.
So yeah, the second triumvirate was Octavian, Mark Antony, and a third person. I honestly don't remember.
I thought it was the guy who became Octavian.
No, it was Octavian. Well, Octavian became Caesar Augustus.
Right, but isn't Octavian one of them?
Yeah, so I said it's Octavian, Mark Antony.
Wasn't it Brutus?
No, they were hunting down Brutus.
Oh.
Like they basically formed a team to go and kill Brutus.
I didn't remember.
And all the other conspirators.
Okay.
But then essentially what ended up happening was then Mark Antony and Octavian, I don't remember the story of how it happened, but basically it just came down to those two.
Yeah.
Mark Antony started hiding out in Egypt when he saw the Egyptian whore, also known as Cleopatra.
Didn't he start,
And he started just piping her.
Yeah.
And then Octavian ruled from Rome, which essentially created, a division in the Roman Empire. So you had Mark Antony kind of ruling the whole southern part of Rome, the Roman Empire, and then Octavian ruling from actual Rome. And it essentially there was a Roman civil war that went on.
Yeah.
Until Mark
2 kings, basically.
Yeah, until Mark Antony was defeated by Octavian. But then Octavian then just took power anyways.
Right.
He just became the emperor.
Yeah, the only one.
Yeah, because there was then a power vacuum and he just was like, oh, well, I'm the only king left, so it's me.
Yep.
And the thing I find ironic is they're like, well, we gotta kill Julius Caesar to prevent a dictator, and then Julius Caesar's nephew, Octavian's like, hey, I'm gonna step right in here.
Yeah.
So it's like you do that to prevent it, but then
unfortunate.
you just make it happen anyways.
Yeah, unfortunate.